Welcome, IP Friends, to episode 94 of the IP series podcast with Rita. I don't know, guys. How does that sound? I don't know. But anyways, welcome to IP series with Rita. My name is Rita Aurichinda, and I am an intellectual property lawyer based in Rivers State. Yep. Proud Port Harcourt girl. But anyways, if you ever listened to my previous episode, talking about the copyright and AI generative case featuring Christina Castonova, got that right. I also talked about the recent update from the US Copyright Office as to guidelines for digital artists who want to copyright their artificial intelligence generative work. Then I also talked about it's not recent anyways, but then a case about INEC being accused of a patent infringement and industrial design infringement and disobeying court orders, and you know what is happening right now in the country. INEC is not obeying court orders, and but yeah, if this is your first time listening to me talk about intellectual property, please check out my previous episode. I already have 93 episodes published. Now this is going to be the 94th one, but yeah, please listen to my episode, share, like, subscribe on any of the platforms you're currently listening to me right now. It will mean a lot to me, guys. Thank you. Now for my returning listeners, you guys are the bomb. Thank you for always coming back to listen to me. Thank you for the reviews, the criticisms. I get everything. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. I guess we should, set up like a meet and greet. If that is something you guys would be interested in, please send me a shout out to my DM at IP Series 1 or IP Series _ with Reader, or to my email at ipseriesInfo@gmail.com. Oh my god. But yeah, thank you guys always. I really do appreciate it. But now let's get into the dates for today. So as a true Nigerian, or as a Nigerian first, I'm going to say I'm proud of you guys. Like, your creative expressions, your innovative works out there that you guys put out, is the bomb. But then, one of the issues I think the creative space or some Nigerians have, I'm saying some because I do not want to generalize and I don't want anybody to drag me. It's not like I'm scared, but then I like my sanity. But moving on, what I was saying is that I think some people do not understand how intellectual property works, which is why certain people decide to monetize content or creative work or inventions that they consider to be in vogue or popular or something that's trending. Like, okay, let me just show my own skill that I can do a lot better. I guess it always comes out like that. I don't know. I'm just saying. But then this is how it's turned out within the last few weeks. We just recently concluded the elections, and I'm not going to make a comment about that. But then one phrase or term that became popular during the presidential election was the ELLU P. So I had initially done like a Twitter version and a LinkedIn version talking about how you can create merchandise from your creative work, use it as a source of extra revenue for yourself, especially for creatives. But now you're seeing it evolve from the original author or creator to other people wanting to take advantage of the popularity of the phrase. So I had initially planned to publish this podcast, but then I decided to update my knowledge again because my friend God's Love had tagged me on a post where there was I think it's a fizzy drink with ELLU P on it. Let me get the picture and see. So he tagged me on that post asking what were the IP implications, and my train of thought as to the case just changed because I was initially focusing on merchandising, but when Goslock tagged me on that post, I was like, okay, I think I need to look at this from another angle. So let me just. So the question was, with the level of publicity this popular ELLU P 74, ELLU P 75 is garnering after the election, would an IP protection in bracket trademark be necessary? So he goes further to say, as Sabinus did with something huge, can't this be protected for monetization and exploitation? So he tagged me and other colleagues on the post, and my initial thought was, so in order for a product or a mark to enjoy trademark protection, the phrase must first meet the requirement of the function as a trademark being associated with a product, and any medium of protection may be lost to it being generic, So I just focused. I just thought, okay, maybe this is another way I can look at this case, and I hope you guys see it from my own point of view. But if you have a different view regarding the whole ELLU P, I mean, I supported Labour Party, so I'm pretty much excited talking about this. But then, if you think my view about looking at ELLU P becoming a generic term is not correct, please, I'm always open to learning. I mean, you have to learn, unlearn, and relearn, which is basically the whole point. But for this extended version of the IP series regarding this conversation on ELLU P as a trademark, I would like to start from looking at it from becoming a generic term to then delving into the actual conversation, which was how you can get extra revenue from merchandising, through merchandising. So let's get I'm not going to say, should I say let's get into the conversation, but let's just start the whole generic trademark conversation and then kick it up from there, and you guys let me know what you think. So at the recently concluded presidential election, which took place on the 25th day of February 2023, Stephen Mwaka, who was at his polling unit during the collection of the presidential results, was recorded chanting or singing ELLU P. So it started with LP, then ELLU P 74, ELLU P 75, ELLU P 76, ELLU P 77, OB1, and it goes on and on and on. Now, what has stuck in the mind of most Nigerians is just ELLU P. ELLU P. Everywhere you go, ELLU P. People are changing handles to just ELLU P. There are now hashtags, and recently there was so I had come across a quoted post on my timeline on Twitter in the early hours after the presidential election, can't remember now, where someone was like, he needed to know who was the first person that coined the ELLU P, and I was like, ooh, this is really nice. I mean, someone is doing his due diligence so that he will not be accused of an IP infringement or unauthorized use. So he goes for that to say, so I just want to give full credit before putting out my stickers. So and then it turns out on the 3rd of March, that's 3 days after the election, he was tagged to the original creator of the phrase ELLU P, and then they went into a merchandising collaboration deal and created a couple of products using ELLU P, Obi Kereke, Obi1 name. So it's a beautiful merchandise product, and it went live I think that same week. But then it has now evolved into something else, which is where Goslock tagged me on the Instagram post of someone creating a fizzy drink using ELLU P as part of their, I think, the name of the brand. So it's ELLU P 74, ELLU P 75, ELLU P 76. Then he wrote verified. So there's verified on it, and then there are certain phrases like so it's a bit faint, But I think that's all I can see right now. So I would take it that this is like someone designing a product to be sold, not that it's actually being used. That's going to be my first impression. So it's a fizzy drink of an orange, strawberry, and apple flavor. What's on it is ELLU P 74, ELLU P 75, ELLU P 76, verified. So I then looked at it from, like I stated initially, ELLU P becoming a generic term where it's not linked to a product, but then people use it to identify certain things. But I don't know, I think maybe I might be messing it up, but that's my argument in terms of whether ELLU P can enjoy being protected without it being registered first of all. So we live in a society that is surrounded by many goods, many competitive consumer goods and services, and then you have this desire of the consumers to purchase a particular goods depending on the holy grail of the brand's marketing, which can be linked to trademark, and also the goodwill or reputation that the brand may have garnered over the period of time, basically. But then let's discuss how ELLU P may at some point become a generic term, like every other phrase that goes viral in Nigeria, which kind of enjoys like a limited short shelf life. If you look at it from the fast fashion perspective, where they're churning out imitated designs at a lower cost, and the quality is also not high standard quality, something like that. So you just find out that when a phrase or a term goes viral in Nigeria, everyone just wants to get on it, get a piece of it, and then before you know it just fizzles out, and we're back to square one waiting for the next viral thing. Now it's ELLU P, they play help me, they carry me, they go where I don't know, all of those things, and people trying to get creative with it. So I know when when the post first went viral, couple of producers or DJs got busy, and that's what most people were bobbing their heads to, and we then moved from that to people printing jerseys with ELLU P on it, and people they kept getting creative. Now we have I would say the most well thought out merchandise between Steven and trying to remember the Twitter user's name, but I would definitely refer to him in the course of this whole interaction. But yeah, at the moment, ELLU P is not being associated with a particular product other than the merchandise that it has created. But the phrase alone can be linked to Steven. Can Steven as an individual function as a source of origin? I highly doubt that. But then I don't want to get creative on this episode, because as I was talking about it, I just said about personality right, but yeah, that's me pushing it, really pushing it. So like I said, not going to do that. So I would say yes, based on the merchandise and product development collaboration that already exists between Steven Walker and the Twitter user Layer Connect. So it's at Layer Connect. That's on the first hand, so you can associate ELLU P to certain products that they created. So there's a sticker, there's a phone case, I think there's also a t-shirt, and then there's a hat. Yeah, there's a hat as well. But yeah, let's move on. There's a hat as well, so let's move on now. So how can someone like Steven lose the distinctiveness of his creation for an unregistered mark, where the basis of trademark is that the mark in question must be used in commerce consistently? So you must consistently use ELLU P to make money. If you're not using it for profits, then someone can take advantage of that, and that is where the disadvantage of you having an unregistered trademark will come in. Whereas for where you have a registered trademark. Someone can apply to the registry to cancel your registration for non-use. I think the minimum requirement for that in Nigeria is that you must have abandoned, or the trademark in question must have been dormant for at least 5 years before someone can make that application. So, then again, you have to look at it from the point where Stephen must first identify the commercial value of ELLU P, especially after it went viral. I don't think Stephen even thought that it was even going to get viral, that people would, identify. I would use the word identify here. Identify within. However, we'll look at it from the test of determining whether a mark is identical or confusingly similar, especially, if you read section 13, sub 1. So I was reading Mr. McMurdy SAN's book. You guys, if you have an interest in IP or trademark in particular, check that book out. It's a commentary on trademark, so very detailed and helpful as well. I most often refer to it when I'm doing like my research, But yeah, so he stated that there are certain tests used to determine whether a mark is identical or confusingly similar. First, okay, so I think I just stuck to two that I felt connected to this case. So the first one is the ear and the eye test. So the eye test for if a consumer sees ELLU P, would they link it to Stephen, all of that. Ear test will come into place where in terms of pronunciation, intonation, and then I was having a conversation with Mr. Kess, and he was like, Amory, why don't you look at this from the point where so Stephen can be, I think Stephen is an Igbo man, and there are certain parts of Igbo, the eastern part, where the letter L is pronounced as ELLU. You get? So he was looking at it from that point of view, and I was like, oh, that makes a bit of sense. But so when I was looking at this from the generic aspect, I was like, okay, would the ear and the eye test apply in this instance? Maybe. Can ELLU P be linked to Stephen? I think a lot of people will say yes. Maybe they may not know that his name is Stephen, but they'll be like, oh, that guy at the polling that was like ELLU P. So I would say yes. In terms of intonation, would that kind of infringe on Labour Party's as if Labour Party as a name is registered? Those are the questions you'd be considering when talking about identical or confusing similar marks. Then the next one, the second test, is the general recollection test, which analyzes whether it's possible to mistake one mark for the other. Is there going to be some sort of confusion, especially if this other mark is absent? So those were the two. I think there are about 5 tests. I would post about that later, but those were the two tests that I considered to be relevant for this. And thirdly, would you consider ELLU P an indication of origin, or that it guarantees some sort of quality, or is able to differentiate ELLU P from LP? Or does it also function as a trademark, or does it function as some sort of advertising, or can it be associated with a particular product? Then Stephen, after identifying the commercial value of ELLU P, can avoid using ELLU P generically. So you can't be using it as a common term, like, oh, I ELLU P the team, something like that. Don't, when you use it as a verb or an adjective, that it ends up, moving down the charts of what one would consider to be a strong mark, such as a fanciful mark or arbitrary mark. But it's not the best way to achieve make your mark to be strong, when you consistently use your mark or the term or the phrase generically. Then fifth, can a trademark owner use a trademark owner can use either the R with a circle symbol to indicate that the mark has been registered, or they can use TM to indicate that though it's unregistered, it enjoys a bit of goodwill, reputation, and a limited form of protection within that territory. We know that intellectual property protects intangible asset within a particular jurisdiction or territory. So yeah, those are the things that I think Stephen can do. This is not a legal advice, this is just for educational purpose. The first one is quoting, but these are the things that I was thinking about when I was thinking of, the generic aspect and also monetization in terms of raising revenue through merchandising. Now, other ways that someone can lose their trademark is when you abandon it. Like I stated previously, if you abandon your trademark for at least 5 years in Nigeria, I think it's 3 years in the UK. Yeah, 3 years in the UK. You stand the chance of losing it. Someone can apply for non-use or cancel to strike it out of the registry, and you lose it. When you don't pay or renew your trademark fees, when it becomes generic that is no longer strong or distinctive enough, which might happen in the case of ELLU P. But then I think Stephen has to consult an IP lawyer or a trademark lawyer or trademark firm or an IP firm to help build on what he has created. But then again, you might also want to consider reaching out to Labour Party so they don't accuse you of passing off or taking advantage of the popularity that the party has garnered over the last couple of months. Then again, it's easy for your consumers to identify your brand, and may be difficult. It might end up being difficult for you to enforce your intellectual property rights if everyone starts using ELLU P to describe a product or a service. So ELLU P, I'm thinking of something now. ELLU P laundry service, ELLU P drink, ELLU P paint, ELLU P entertainment service. All of those things. So if you also fail to monitor how your term or phrase or name, word, slogan is being used for commercial purpose, maybe in light of, say, a licensing arrangement where you don't monitor how the licensee uses your term or your trademark in question. Also, when your application is considered to be fraudulent or misrepresentative, maybe the details you put in there were not genuine or not real, they misrepresented what your brand is all about. And also, when your mark is consistently being used incorrectly and you don't correct that notion, you might end up losing the mark. So going for why would LP at some points end up being generic, despite the motivation of it as an anthem for most Nigerians who were looking forward to a new Nigeria. So I've been talking a lot about generic terms. So what exactly is a generic trademark? So what is a generic trademark? Now, remember I had talked about the charts in terms of how strong, from the strongest to the least type of trademark you can register. So a generic trademark basically is a mark that has become commonly used to identify a product and not the brand. So let's say so currently in Nigeria, a lot of people call noodles Indomie. I won't buy Indomie, I want to buy Indomie. Indomie is a brand name, but slowly it's becoming a generic term that people use to identify a product and not the brand itself. So a generic term is when the name associated with the mark has become so common that anyone can use it to describe a product, making it lose its exclusivity to the brand, to the product, and in the class that it was registered. Remember, trademark registration, when you're doing a trademark registration, you have to pick out of the 45 classes under the NICE classification. Now, if it didn't start out being generic, it might end up being overused. And in Nigeria, in order for you to acquire a trademark protection, the owner is expected to register the mark in the relevant class under the nice classification, or be the first person to use it for commercial, so first person to register it for commercial purpose, because we apply what is called the first to file system. Or in the instance, if you choose not to register it at the moment, maybe because you feel it's not important or you don't have funds, you might enjoy what is a limited form of protection as an unregistered trademark. Or you can register it with the intention to actually use it. So you have an instance where someone actually registered a mark but do not have an intention to use that trademark for commercial purpose. This is different from you registering a defensive mark. So I think I've talked about that in my previous episode. So if you haven't listened to the last 93 episodes, please take your time and listen to them. But yeah, how can a mark become generic? Now, when it is not identified to a particular brand but linked to a type of product, like I stated, noodles, Indomie, I want to buy Indomie, or I want to buy Jig, or I want to buy Hypo, I want to buy Biro, or Big, give me Big, you know. I ask again, what product is ELLU P linked or associated with? So other than the merchandise that was done with Layer Connect, what other products? So at the moment, if Steven isn't strategic, he might end up losing the phrase, or it can just be adopted by everyone, then it becomes like an anthem, or even Labour Party can consider, you know, hiring him in future for their future promo campaign, etc., etc. How do you prove that a trademark is now generic? Now, according to a post by NY trademark lawyer, he said it is determined when the class of goods or services is at issue, what the class of goods and services under the nice classification, what class of goods and services would ELLU P fall under. I did not take my time to go through the list, but I think it will fall, since they already have a match, it will fall under the use for services. Then secondly, would the public understand that the term ELLU P has been designated primarily for that particular class? You know, those are the questions that one will need to consider, you know, in proving whether a trademark is generic. First is the class it was registered, and second is the public understanding of the trademark in question. Now, did you know linoleum was the first term to become generic, which is sad because they were not even proactive enough to protect the misuse of their term. Can the popular election phrase or slogan enjoy trademark protection? That is now ELLU P, which is being chanted, and you know, that has emerged a lot of commercialization. People are thinking of, you know, exploiting the popularity at the moment. First, this wasn't like a company slogan, even though Labour Party, which one would assume it would be like the similar mark in question, but then I do not think there's any sort of, you know, there's going to be any sort of confusion at the end of the day, you get. So now that we have a merch and the sound recording included, we are also seeing pictures of people taking advantage of this viral sensation without reaching out to Steven. I'm not sure that Steven has a trademark. I think I've said that before. But then there are certain silent issues that may have some implication. First, like I think I mentioned it in passing, Steven's intonation as an Igbo man, which bettered this sensation. Would LP consider this to be an infringement or passing off in the event that they say, okay, we want to take advantage of the popularity? I mean, Labour Party is already a popular political party in Nigeria. Would they see ELLU P riding on their goodwill? Do they see any sort of identical or similar similarities between the two phrases or terms. Another thing again would be to consider the factor that determine whether a trademark in these terms, I'm using trademark loosely, is a generic name or a term in a trademark dispute. ELLU P hasn't, as it stands now, acquired a secondary meaning, and also it also depends on the success and popularity of ELLU P. It may cause Stephen, who is the original creator now, to lose the exclusive rights to use it for commercial purpose and also protect it under the trademark law in Nigeria. For instance, do you know that Xerox almost became a generic term because of misuse, but they successfully prevented that by coming up with a very innovative campaign ad, which convinced consumers to continue using the word photocopy instead of Xerox. And one of the best defenses that one, if you're faced, so let's say someone accuses you of trademark infringement and you're trying to figure out the best way to get out of it, one of the defense you can use is stating that the mark in question has become generic within that particular industry. And in this instance, the register, so in the event of a trademark infringement, the person who registered the mark can apply to the registrar to cancel the mark from the registry. So under the Nigerian Trademark Act, you can see section 40 sub 1 paragraph C or regulation 86 and 87 of the trademark regulations. You can also look out for form 23 on how to file an application for cancellation in the event where you've considered the mark has been abandoned or not being used by the person or your anything. So like I said, one of the best defense for trademark case is that the mark in question is non-generic within your industry. So that's something you can also consider. Now, what other options are available to a registered trademark owner to ensure that his trademark doesn't become generic? One, you need to police and monitor it, this is where your intellectual property department or the IP firm or your retainer or IP lawyer or your retainer will come in. They will help you monitor how your trademark is being used. Make sure that the advert place tells the consumers the name, the logo, the phrase, the slogan used for your product is identifying your product itself. So my product is a noodle brand, but this is Mimi noodles, this is Indomie noodles, this is Dangote noodles, or Dangote spaghetti. Is spaghetti or spaghetti? But I'm sure with this example you understand what I mean. It must be consistent. So all your adverts must consistently say this is a Samsung phone or this is an Apple phone. No, this is an iPhone. I mean, iPhone is also a trademark. But yeah, let it not be that if someone wants to buy a phone, they're like, oh, I won't buy iPhone. And they're like, okay. And you bring out an iPhone, person like, no, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, say, a Techno phone, something like that. Then another way is you can issue what is called a cease and desist letter to ensure that you don't lose your trademark and it doesn't become weak, and also you can also prevent the registration of a similar and identical mark within the same class. Other options will include you filing a notice of opposition to prevent the mark from being registered or being deemed to be abandoned or rejected by the registry or the trademark office. And then your final option could be to institute an action in court for unauthorized use, infringement, and or passing off. So I think this is like my summary, looking at this ELLU P case study from the becoming a generic term. But yeah, that's about it for the genericity of ELLU P as a trademark. Now let's move on to the other part of our conversation, which is to consider the merchandising options available to someone within the creative space. As a creative person or an innovative person, or someone who owns intellectual property, one of the silent provisions for an IP is that you must use it for commerce. You must use it for commercial purpose. So it must be commercially exploited. So this gives you more avenue to raise revenue or funds for yourself. Now you can do that as a creative by creating a you can do this by creating a merchandise product, or going into a licensing deal, or a partnership or collaboration, or assigning your intellectual property right. So first of all, it is merchandising, aka merch. And this is the use of a range of products used by a creative for commercialization and exploitation of their intellectual property right, which is also key for marketing the creative. And also a good business strategy to become memorable in the minds of your consumers. For instance, the obedient, proudly obedient. So remember the merch deal I talked about between Steven and Layer Connect. So something like this: people who are obedient or who find the term intriguing can decide that, okay, I just need to own, say, the phone case or the key holder, or just put the sticker on my phone or on my car or something. Creatives get to enjoy merchandising right, which gives them the right to make, use, sell, license, or authorize other people to exploit the bundle of rights that I listed above. That is the right to make, to sell, to assign, to license, etc., etc., which Steven had already considered when Layer Connect had reached out to them. Now, IP, which is an intangible asset, is born out of human intellect in form of a song, phrases, logo, invention, literary and artistic works that must be used in commerce. IP also serves as a legal framework that regulates the creative and innovative sector. It also gives them legal backing and protection within the territory, as long as it's an original expression, it's in a tangible format, it solves and provides solutions to a problem in the societies. But yeah, that's about it. Then 5 rights of merchandising. You have rights. You have to create the right merch. You have to create the right quantity, produce it at the right time, put the right price, and look for the right place, so that you're able to prevent any kind of, say, some sort of fast fashion like scenario. You get? So the downside of creating merchandise, is sometimes you attract copycats. So I wouldn't want to call people who are now creating jerseys with the LP printed on it and the fizzy drink copycat, but that's basically what they are. They're also creating counterfeited products, so and also pirating ELLU P product and taking advantage of the popularity. Would I say the popularity is now a goodwill or reputation? Sort of. But yeah, tips to secure your IP and protect your merch. You need to identify the relevant elements of your IP that has commercial value and register it. For instance, the term ELLU P will be one name. I think one name, I don't know what it means in Igbo. I wish I could hear Igbo. I don't even hear my dialect to start with, which is upsetting, which would have been useful right now. But yeah, moving on. So elements like your logo, design, phrases, terms, names, character. You can also opt for a good licensing model for your merch. It can be like an exclusive deal, so it's just you and one person. Or you can decide that Steven can decide that he wants to license ELLU P to several persons and monetize, and everybody goes home happy. You can also select the right product to be used and identify your target market. Now, rights of an unregistered trademark owner. You remember that ELLU P, as at the last time, I am aware, because I know trademark registration cannot be done in 3 months, no matter what any trademark agent tells you. But it's not even up to 3 months. I think it's not. Okay, it's a month already. Yeah, it's a month already. 25th of February to now is a month and 2 days or 3 days already. So I would say it's still an unregistered trademark. So what rights does an unregistered trademark have. Now, under Section 3 of our Trademark Act, it gives the trademark owner the right to sue for thoughts of passing off. So Stephen can exercise the limited rights that he has to sue someone for passing off, taking advantage of the popularity and reputation and goodwill that ELLU P has garnered over the last 1 month against a similar mark, but nothing was expressly stated about suing for unauthorized use of the mark. Now, trademark, as a trademark which isn't registered but can't be infringed. Now, would the product of ELLU P merch be an unfair business practice? Probably. However, where there's a cause of action for passing off, ELLU P can consider its reputation, the damages has done to him. I think there are 3 things: that there has been a misrep, there has been damage to his reputation, and the person has taken advantage of his goodwill that he has garnered. So, what are the intellectual property rights that ELLU P can enjoy? First, copyright for the song. I mean, everyone was literally bobbing their head to ELLU P 74 ELLU P. Anyways, but yeah, copyright protection for the song, the lyrics, the sound recording, the composition, which all of those things. But I wouldn't want to focus on that because my primary area of concentration for today is just trademark. I'm not focusing on the copyright aspect of it. That would, maybe want to stretch things a bit for me. But yeah. The next one will be trademark, which protects logos, phrases, terms, names, short phrases. Then industrial design for the visual appearance and combination of colors used for the merchandise. Now, layer X Steven relationship can be possible or is already possible. Now, when I wrote this, I wrote P-O, like Peter Obi, but P-O in capital letter. But yeah, so I wrote that, and like, okay, this relationship can be possible through a partnership or collaboration or licensing arrangement for a fixed term of duration. Don't know what Leia and Steven agreed to after he had reached out to them, or what the royalties or the term of the arrangement was. So this is just me educating. This is not legal opinion now. So parties will agree on a fixed term, whether it's going to be an assignment of right or licensing or whatever it is. But I do hope that parties signed an agreement to properly document this relationship. Nothing like handshake or "na my guy." No, there's no guy in business. It's not even family or bestie in business. You just have to be very professional about what you're doing. Then consider the fact that they are both creative. I mean, maybe Steven didn't start out as a creative. This is not me. I'm not talking down on what the sensation that ELLU P has garnered. But Leia, as I found out, is a creative designer. But both parties as creators enjoy certain intellectual property rights, which gives them economic rights to earn from their creativity. So any in terms of royalties for Steven and profit for Leia for creating the merch, and then moral right to prevent any mutilation, distortion that could harm their reputation. Now, I think this is where the other products you are seeing will come into place. Now, can Steven exercise his moral right to prevent other people from taking advantage of the popularity that ELLU P has garnered? So anyone trying to create a fizzy drink or jerseys for sale or key holders, can he exercise a moral right and say, you do not have the right to do this? Let's say someone decides to use ELLU P in a porn video, or like my moralist would term it, satanic video, or link it to say something really bad, anyways, something that is not in line with Steven's principle or Leia's principle as a designer, whatever it is, their goal of creating the ELLU P match. They can exercise their moral rights or paternity right, as it's called, to prevent anyone from distorting ELLU P. Leia can also protect the logo created as its IP, but in this case, This will be some sort of joint ownership between Leye and Steven. So here are my guidelines for creatives who want to explore merchandising as a form of revenue generation. One, you need to consider the environment you are and the motive for creating that merchandise, the graphic design work that will be done, how to market it to your consumers, aka in this instance obedience, the platforms for hosting your sale. You also consider profits, commissions and royalties, shipping and logistics. You need to also consider the case where the products can be exploited by people not meant to do so. Then you can consider issues unusual or visual merchandising as a heart of your creativity and distribution channel. Then consider management as well. Who's going to manage that portfolio of your merchandise? Will you be the one doing that? Will it be your manager? Will it be the company? Will it be a third party company? Whatever it is, those are issues you need to consider when you're opting to create a merchandise product. Now, why is merchandising important for creatives? One, it gives you an opportunity to create unique products that speaks to your brand as a creative. The earlier the better, especially because the IP system we have here in Nigeria applies the first to file and not the first to use principle, ELLU P. However, if the IP, e.g. the phrase or the chant or the term ELLU P can be linked to the original creator, who is Steven, he already enjoys, say, an automatic protection for the chant, because copyright basically doesn't protect short phrases. It doesn't even protect titles. It doesn't even protect ideas or facts. We need to see it expressed in a tangible format. So this ELLU P has a bundle of different rights from the person. So the person who recorded Steven enjoys his own or her own sort of IP protection. Leye, who created the merch, enjoys his own protection. Steven, who was chanting the term or the phrase, enjoys his own form of protection, which can be enforced against any unauthorized use or alleged infringement or passing off, as the case may be. Steven and Leye can deepen their relationship through what the obedient already have, and consider the potential of creating an ELLU P fan club. Sign me up when you guys decide to do that. Anyways, really interested and looking forward to seeing that. And I think Labour Party as a political party in Nigeria listens to the people, which is what most people were looking forward to. But the powers that be said no. But moving on, what's the goal for creating this merch? I think basically for me, I would say I wouldn't say riding on the popularity of ELLU P, but I would just say trying to bring people closer to the brand and to the vision of having a new Nigeria, or maybe just having something fanciful in your collection if you're a collector, or just supporting a creative. I don't know, whatever your goal might be in terms of creating the merch, whatever it is. But yeah, creating merch can help both creators in this instance by trusting them into the limelight. You can get sponsorship and ambassador deal from maybe the most popular party right now, the Labour Party, in future for promotion, future publicity and awareness for free and fair election. It also gives them new opportunities as creators or as creatives or as authors, IP owners, all of those things. They can also, it's a form, like I said, extra revenue for Leye as a creative merch director and Steven as the creator of the viral ELLU P song or chant or anthem or phrase. Plus, it is low risk, no, as in give or take. If you win, you win. If you don't win. But anyways, I had last year, I think that was last year, I created a content. There's a post on character merchandise and IP using I think it was the Annie Kulakpo film. I hope I pronounced it well. If I did not, IP friends, please forgive me. Ejo, I'm begging. Then episode 20 of my podcast features Selena Davies, who at that time was working within the merchandising space. I think she's still in that industry as well. Then you can also check out episode 15, where I talked about intellectual property right that exists during a protest. This is not a protest, but this is an election election period. I do understand, or I came across a post where it stated that Donald Trump, when he was campaigning to be the president of the United States, had trademarked certain phrases that were linked to him during that period. So that's something that I think even Labour Party can consider, if they haven't already. Bring Layer Connect and Steven to make it work. Trust me, the Obedience will gladly support whatever it is you guys are doing. Even though I don't think we've moved out from the top to bottom phase, but we're still hopeful. Still a proud Nigerian anyways. It's also a good way of getting the youth's attention going forward. I mean, the 2023 presidential election, we saw a lot of turnout, but the governorship election was nothing to write home about. I mean, even in my polling, it weren't so much. I mean, from 1,000 we became 150, if I would say that. Or so LP, that's Labour Party, Layer and Steven can collaborate, or Labour Party can collaborate or bring in Layer and Steven to build the momentum and use the opportunity to educate people and start preparing people for the next 4 years. Because 2027, if far but far, before we are preparing for election again, and then there will be another humongous amount of money that will be assigned to the electoral body. We also consider this to be an advocacy merch used to amplify a message such as INEC give the people their mandates, ELLU P, voting for the right persons, or being excited that your person is winning. The conversation as to if your person is not winning, that means the rest rigged. No. I mean, it's with what happened in certain states like Lagos, Port Harcourt, it's obvious that. Okay, I'm just going to pause there. I'm trying so hard not to make any comment that someone will get offended. But should I really care? I don't know, guys. But moving on. So yeah, those are the considerations for me. So I'm going to conclude with the following. So my conclusion is this: we need to start seeing merchandising as an extension of a brand, not just as revenue generation. So you need to be very creative with it. Creatives need to consider merchandising, and also need to be strategic about it. Take advantage of timing. So imagine that Steven and Layer waited, say, a year later to come up with the ELLU P merch. Would it sell? Nobody knows. You can't predict. But if they are strategic about it, they will definitely be able to persuade the consumers or obedient with a good campaign ad. You need to also consider royalty rates depending on your jurisdiction. Have a merchandise strategy. Consider exclusive and limited edition merch. Get a good distribution arrangement. Logistics as well. I mean, the logistic industry is a bit uncertain. You place an order for something, you call your delivery guy, deliver by 3 and it's delivering at 8 p.m. and it's not even remorseful about it. Stories like that. We need to start respecting people's creativity, especially if you wish to monetize it. Reach out to the original creator. So do your due diligence, investigate, find out who is the first person that started this movement. Just like what Layer did. Layer was like, before I put anything out there, please connect me to the first person or the person that started the ELLU P movement. And that was how Steven got in. Sign a licensing agreement. The fair use defense or principle will not, the fair dealing fair use in US and fair dealing in Nigeria. So the fair dealing principle will not save you if you're making money. Fair dealing principle only applies when you're not commercializing it. So you're using it for private use, you're not monetizing it, you're using it for research purpose, you're creating a parody or educating people, you know, you're not making money basically. Oh my god. You're not making money basically. If you are going to make money, please reach out to the person. It's also, like I stated and I've always stated, it is a great source of revenue for creatives. And with that, I've come to the end of episode 94. And so we have come to the end of episode 94 of IP series. Thank you guys for listening to me discuss this case. If you found it insightful, please share your thoughts and reviews. Don't forget to like, share. And if you have cases you want me to review, send me an email to ipseriesinfo@gmail.com. Follow my handles on all social media platforms. And yeah, see you in episode 95. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.